morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by VB. There is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about markets. Welcome, guys. Happy Thursday. I think the most underappreciated day of the week, right? It's kind of like a pseudo Friday, but we're going to have a great show for you all today. We're going to talk about equities, crypto, maybe even some Chinese stocks. I do see some requests in the comments. If you guys have something that you want us to look at that's not, bottom of the barrel, of course, we will do our best to look at it on today's show. But you guys have to hit the like button before we do that, and I'll get to that in just a second. But first, you guys know me as Tommy, also as Snorlax. I am joined by Tucker, Chef Jackus, and of course, Big Louie. So welcome to you guys as well. Before we can get into the meat of the show, before I can start kind of talking about, at least the last time I checked, equities went from red to green, crypto as well. Saw some red in Asia session, flipped green around the time of New York Open. I'm going to need you to hit the like button. If you want us to look at, whatever ticker that you might suggest in the comments, we're going to do our best to get to those if you hit the like button. If you do your part, we're doing ours. And of course, if you guys hit the like button, then the YouTube algos will be able to do their part as well. So we always appreciate when you guys can do that for us. But as I always like to say, nevertheless, we are going to have a great show. So let's get into kind of what markets are doing today. It's like I was kind of saying, look, like markets are very much in the same place, at least, crypto is very much in the same place that it has been for the last week or so. Equity markets kind of continue to do this, I would say like this soft rally where they're just kind of slow grinding higher. But we have, in between had quite a few things happen in markets, right? We've got more tariff news. We've had plenty of options expirations. We've had hyper liquid FUD. Just a lot going on in our ever present and ever active world of markets. We're seeing Chinese stocks bounce today, which I made this comment on our morning call. I think the fact that you're seeing Chinese equities bounce during New York session for the first time in about like a week is probably a decent sign, at least for some short-term continuation higher in equity markets. Will this bleed over into crypto? I guess we'll see. In similar fashion to the way that we were talking about options expiration for equities last week, I think you could see a positive impact on crypto actually from tonight's options expiration over in Bitcoin and ETH. So that could be something to watch as well. But we continue to see, I feel like this relative strength from a few altcoins. And sure, you look at the market structure and you're like, well, those green candles are kind of like a blip given the last 3 or 4 months of trend. But I think if you're paying attention to it on a bit more of a lower time frame basis, there are some altcoins, there are some narratives that are beginning to perk their heads up and not just show, I think, signs of life, but also some decent volume coming in and decent signs of bid. So let's talk about it, guys. What are we seeing in the markets today? Do we have any thoughts on today's price action? I know we've kind of been, like I said, crypto is very much in the same place that it has been over the last few weeks. But how are you guys interpreting just kind of the full picture of markets today?
Not all at once.
Oh, wow, Jackus. That was nice. Go for it. Go for it.
DXY looks, it wants to go way lower, in my opinion. It wants to hit new lows not seen since 2022.
I concur.
Good discussion. That was it today, guys.
Thanks for joining. There you go.
I'm a big USD JPY bear right now. I'm not really trading the dollar as much as I am trading that pair.
So you're a JPY bull, is what you're saying?
Yes, I am.
JPY bear, USD JPY bear. Do you have a target on this one, or is it just
On USD JPY?
yeah?
Yes. Let me go through my object tree. No, I think it can come down a lot. To being serious, like I didn't even know that Invesco had an ETF where you can bet on the appreciation of the yen, which is I always forget the ticker because I'm just so unfamiliar with it. But FXY is kind of how I think you can trade it if you are an American. FXY.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could see the USD JPY kind of. I mean, it might retrace the entire 2022 pump. Honestly,
Interesting.
He said Jackus is looking like Louis today.
Okay.
I am a
Mr.
bit of a
Frodo.
hobbit. I'm a bit of a hobbit, so it's fine with me.
You didn't know it, but Louis was in Mordor.
Oh, excuse me.
And caught a little bit of cough there.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I like the little had a little bear trap this morning. Equity sold off, crypto sold off, but getting bought back nicely here. I like that. I mean, pretty much the S&P is just backfilling its gap that pushed us back inside of its range. If you want to pull that up, Tuck. And we're kind of retesting the structure we lost. So
what?
S&P, yeah. So
bro.
we gapped up back into the range. Well, I guess you do that if you go a little lower, use those highs and those lows there. But regardless, backfilled that gap. And I have it drawn as like we're pretty much trying to flip this level back into support. So I think we're at a good spot to bounce here after a little sell off last day and a half. So I like the buyback this morning after filling that gap. I think that's a good sign, but want to see that stick throughout the rest of the day.
I like it too, and I also think that SPX should be still going higher first in this pullback. Technically, if you were to draw a fib from the high, we haven't reached an EQ just yet. EQ is a 50% retracement, so I still think we at least hit that on this pullback, if not higher. Tucker.
Doing like 10.
I still like 5,900 on SPOOs and 21,000 on the Nasdaq.
59? Why 59, dude? I feel like this is your.
No,
level,
I was saying.
your level.
Oh.
What are you saying?
If you can draw a fib from the highs on this recent pullback
to like here.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, basically. And maybe add the 50%, the EQ.
No, Jax. Haven't you heard that's not a real fib?
What?
Yeah, it's a fake. That's a fake fib.
What?
They're fib lords.
0.5. That's not real. There, better. All right.
Yeah, so we haven't even hit that on this pullback. I still think we do. And then you start to trade at premium or discount depending on which side you wanna take. But until then, I still think SPX also has higher to go. What's interesting though, not sure if you guys noticed, but SPX is stronger than NVIDIA here, while in the past 2 years, it's been NVIDIA that's been pulling up SPX to the upside.
If we just...
That's a good sign, I would say. No?
We are seeing weakness in the AI narrative. I think, who is it that IPOs tomorrow? CoreWeave, I think. That could give Nvidia a little bit of a boost, maybe over the next few sessions. Not sure.
Dude, how does this get turned against me? Like YB says we are so back. Hagrid got the American flag on the US, and then the
Been
next
on,
one
brother.
study patriotism, Jackies. I'm like, what? What is this?
Oh my
What,
god.
what does this has to do anything with me?
You
I love
wouldn't get it.
I love patriotism, but why is it like against me?
Guilty by association.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
that's funny.
No, I mean, it's like you said, Jack, is Nvidia has really been dragging tech up since kind of since the inception of this bull cycle in 2022. I have a lot of questions about how it's going to trade here for the rest of the year, but maybe some different Mag 7 stock can take the reins and kind of take over. I know we've had a few subscribers ask us about Meta, for example. I will say I think Tesla probably continues to trade lower throughout this year, so it's probably not going to be that one. But I mean, Tesla got so beaten up off the high that it makes sense we're seeing this bounce, and I think this bounce can still continue higher, and that will also probably assist things like the S&P and the Nasdaq here in the near term to continue this rally.
Yeah, I think Tesla can still bounce higher, but just as you, I think it's likely to go lower again. Not expecting much from it in the near future. Because, if you look at this chart, you had a clean, like, if this was an alt, you would be thinking scam pump into new highs and then, Goblin Town.
To new highs?
No,
Yes.
we had it. We had the run up already
Let
to
it
new
happen
highs.
right there.
The manipulated move.
Yeah.
And now Goblin Town. This is what you would be thinking if this was a random alt, which it isn't, of course, but
It kind of trades like one, though. Tesla, I enjoy trading Tesla probably more than any other equity chart, to be honest.
Why is that?
It just it trades like it's a retail chart,
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy how lots of NPCs around the world were like, Tesla awesome, EVs, and now CNBC tells them Musk is bad, and they are like, oh, Musk is bad, Tesla's bad, burning Tesla.
Dude, they firebombed the Tesla here where I'm at.
Wait, really?
Firebombed a couple of Tesla truck dealerships. Yeah, it was crazy.
It's
Kind of
like,
surprised it hasn't happened here.
Yeah. Oh, I'm shocked it hasn't happened where you are, Tom. Yeah.
it's still the same Tesla, but apparently some people just
I didn't realize Tesla's still basically trading at like 100 or 110 PE ratio.
Yeah, that's nuts. I still think probably, what is going to be the most important for Tesla will be the humanoid robotics, the Optimus stuff, and so. What do you guys think? I think that's going to be more important to Tesla than the cars itself.
You said the robotics?
Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely in that camp as well.
But obviously that will take some time before it truly, gets implemented when it becomes mainstream. And obviously that will take probably some time to show up in the chart too.
Yeah, it'll probably I feel like robotics will probably be that next big tech narrative. I guess the question I'm just gonna ask myself is, does that happen in conjunction with AI, or are they like separate bubbles that then can join in the future? That's probably at least what I'm most interested in seeing. But I made this comment on Twitter. I want to know what you guys think of it. I kind of view AI a little bit like I mean, at least right now, the rhetoric around AI is like, yeah, you're getting your jobs replaced in 2 to 3 years. Get excited about it. But it reminds me of DeFi back in 2020 to 2021, where everybody was like, yeah, DeFi is going to replace all of our traditional finance systems probably very soon. And, you know, both statements on a long enough timeline are probably right, to at least to some degree. But right now, I think, you know, what people want most, at least early adopters, they wanted Ponzi's and they want generative art. Like OpenAI just had this this new upgraded feature. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but I've seen it all over the timeline. I'm sure you can do some really creative things with it, but all people want to do is make generative art, just like some of the last few AI iterations. So I think there's a disconnect between kind of like point A to point B, at least kind of that in between. But of course, I mean, we're speculators. We're always going to leap towards point B before we can before we establish that stable footing at that point A.
Well, I feel that, you know, the discussion that robots will take away our jobs has been around forever. You know, even like 100 years ago, people were trying to crash down any, you know, mechanical machine that would apparently take the job from the people. And the reality is the opposite, actually. You know, the reality is that we have one of the lowest unemployment levels in a long time. And I know lots of the jobs are, you know, putting paper from one side of the table to the next. You know, let's be real. But in reality, it's really like people want to work, and when one job gets closed, some other opens up. So I wouldn't be too worried that the humanoid robotics will take the job from people. They will, but new jobs will be opened up. So it will be more about being flexible and being able to adapt to new work areas, basically. You know.
I agree. It will get there eventually, in the same way that, you know, I think we're already kind of seeing. I feel like the news that we've seen around DeFi now, even though it's not reflected in price the same way as 2021, like we're much closer to that goal at this current moment than we were in 2020 or 2021. Like all the talk about stablecoin adoption recently is insanely bullish for DeFi on like a multi-year time horizon. At least that's how I view it. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but no, I mean, the kind of undercurrent around DeFi right now, even though sentiment for ETH is so bad, it's actually really positive.
Yeah, that's real. Did we lose Tucker?
Yeah, he had the jump.
Okay. So listen, lots of jobs will disappear. Back in the day, you know, Louis would be the smith, one would be the carpenter. Nowadays, we get to discuss stuff here and talk about shitcoins, right?
Yeah.
In the
But
future,
yes.
instead of being the carpenter, you will be launching shitcoins on pump.fun. So what a time to be alive.
Yeah, it's just gonna be different, right? Just different jobs, different style of a workforce. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think generally the jobs will move more from from production and hard work to more service based, right? So people will be doing services and creativity, while like robots will be doing most of the manual hard work stuff.
How the barista looks at me expecting a tip after microwaving a sandwich. I saw that meme. I got such a kick out of it.
The memes are always awesome about this stuff. So guys, what do we think about BTC here? Are we back? Is it another new low?
I think we're gearing up for a raid on probably low to mid 90s, honestly, into the beginning of April.
Yeah. I keep seeing like this, like obviously we have this pretty prominent downtrend here that's been capping us since the highs in January. Right now kind of just flagging so far, at least, right under this trend line, but I keep seeing this type of move, kind of like that one big squeeze, something like this. And then we see if we could actually reclaim like our lost structure. So I'm still waiting on this one last squeeze, breaking this downtrend, and seeing if what we can do, at this massive level that we lost, right? So we obviously want to see this white box, this white level reclaimed, right? This is lost structure. And so far we've been rejected 2 times trying to get back inside, right? So, it looks like we're going for another attempt, right? But I mean, I would say, short term, I do want to see, if this is going to happen, within the next week or so. I think it needs to happen relatively soon. Or, likely we're probably going to float back down to here, and then possibly see, what we can do from down here and maybe go for it, right? So I'm pretty much in the camp where if we want to have a, relatively locally, like over the next couple of days, alts and Bitcoin continue to rally, it needs to happen soon, or, we're at a good spot where we can give a lot of this climb back before maybe basing, and then going, right? So I think if we are going to break this, it needs to be soon, or again, I think we might give back some of this climb. We do have a lot of stacked lows here at this point. So I think it needs to happen, or we might float back down, run some of these lows, maybe base, and then come for it again. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I want to see this happen relatively soon, in my opinion, or, we have probably a longer period of time down here, which I'm sure most of us don't want.
From my experience, when you've created such a base leading to the downtrend, you usually tend to break it. I do not think we do have lots of lower time frame lows, but usually when it's like this, you can take like 1, maybe 2, but generally not all of them. And so I expect the breakout to happen sooner or later. I think, as I've been saying, BTC will be a little bit boring through this period for some time, but generally holding up pretty well at these crucial levels. In the meantime, you will have lots of the volatility that has been left in equities to kind of play out. But when it comes to BTC, I think it remains relatively stable.
Yeah.
It will be boring. It's a boring period right now, but boring periods are the best for bottom creation.
Yeah, I think something like Bitcoin, at least at the moment, is trading very, very like structurally correlated to equity markets, like the S&P and the NASDAQ. So if this rally is going to have another leg in equities, and I do think that it does, I feel like it makes sense that we pump into, Liberation Day on April 2nd. And then I think that probably be where I would be looking for a local top to form around that period. Maybe that's just like kind of us trading back to the range lows. Maybe that's a deeper correction. I guess we'll see. But that's kind of like the time frame where I think, we're probably putting in a high near that. And then I mean, I'm personally looking for like a reacceleration of selling around like expiration in April, which is like April 17th. So those are kind of like 2 dates that I'm watching at the moment. But I do think it makes sense that we at least pump into April 2nd, maybe like a little bit after that, right? Get everybody thinking that tariffs don't actually matter. I don't think they're what's moving the market, by the way, but it's a market that loves to assign narratives to moves. I do think that equities, so like the long story short of it is I do think that we're going to see another pump on Bitcoin if we see another leg up here on equities within this rally. And I do think that we will.
Yeah, So, I'm on the same board.
Yeah. Like if we get this move, we get this downtrend break, we get this squeeze, back up into this area, I will probably be, a profit taker or taking some money off the table into that squeeze, right? And just kind of waiting and seeing what we do, right? If we can come back after that, and successfully, reclaim this structure that we lost, and we get confirmation, right, and we start to climb, I'll add back to other stuff, right? But there's always a possibility where Bitcoin squeezes like this and then, kind of comes back down. So we don't want this, right? So I think that your best bet is if we do get a nice squeeze, into the next week or so, come up into this level, it might be wise to take some money off the table, right? If you haven't already, right? If you weren't a seller before all of this, this might be a good chance to maybe take some off the table, make some moves in your portfolio, restructure it, get out of stuff that you might be stuck in, and then wait and see how we react up here. If we do, recapture this, I think this is extremely bullish. And I think if we do get confirmation that we're reestablishing price back inside, this market structure that we lost, I think we're setting ourselves up for a scenario where we head back to the highs on Bitcoin and probably go for another leg, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking for and waiting for the last leg of this little squeeze or this climb off the lows, taking advantage of it, and then seeing where we go from there. I think that might be a wise decision. What do you guys think about that?
No, I mean, I think that's how I'm approaching it too. I'm just a little disappointed ETH hasn't put in a bit bigger of a bounce off these lows.
Yep.
He is taking partial profits and continue with the pump.
Yeah, like we couldn't even run this high. Like it's crazy. Like when we were up here and kind of consolidating, I made sense to me that we would get one more squeeze, right? At least run the origin of this move, and then see a larger correction. That kind of made sense to me. But I feel like that's just been the story of ETH, right? Like it's just it doesn't have a lot of pop, a lot of bounce to it just yet. I'm sure it's coming. It's just not here yet. It's just been a decent little climb, but it's just not coming to life just yet. It's pretty crazy. Like
I have a hunch it's going to do what ETH loves to do, which is where it just kind of lags the entire move and then catches up in one candle on a relative basis to Bitcoin. So, if Bitcoin is going to go sweep that SBR wick, I don't know if ETH is going to get quite to 2,600 in one move, but I do think it could be pretty ferocious candle on a relatively speaking, right? We're used to ETH putting in much larger candles than that in the past, but right now that would be a very large move to be expecting on ETH. I do think that it makes sense to at least kind of test that level you've got marked as a key reclaim. Here, I really think you're going to squeeze some of these bottom shorters out of the market before you get another leg down on ETH.
That's what I would think, right? I would have expected this to already keep going, but it looks like this move is already stalling out. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just the trap, right? Who knows? I don't know. But right now, it kind of looks like it's wants to do this and then maybe do a move, right? And then maybe kind of come up and do that big move, right? Who knows? But yeah, I was expecting a little more follow through, right? At least run this high. Then maybe you get the larger pullback, and then you start to stair step these. But it's just hasn't been happening, man. It's pretty crazy.
I like that we're seeing some alts. It'd be different if I think ETH were trading here and you had some altcoins completely have already played out the move that I'm kind of expecting, but I am encouraged by the fact that you have some altcoins that I think are probably close to the beginning of some new uptrends that have yet to move. And they'll probably move in unison with ETH. I'm talking specifically about something like Sonic. I just love the Sonic chart here. Been showing strength all week. Bitcoin and ETH have been shopping, and you've consistently seen it appreciate against both of them really over the last week. I don't think that it's broken out yet. And I think it will probably break out in unison with ETH.
I'm liking the chart too.
I'm going to have to pull at you guys and say I think it might come lower first, depending on what we see in the market.
We are tasting our own medicine.
Yes.
You want to be bullish on an asset, and then he comes in and says lower.
Yeah, the story of my life.
Nah, that's not what I want to hear.
Tommy and Jack are telling me it's going to come lower. But no, it looks really good, right? Like we looked at this last week, or was that earlier in the week? I don't remember, but you're at
what makes you think we would be going lower, Louis? I'm interested.
So just like I play these wedges a lot, you know, and you know normally the fourth tap is the go, right? You kind of like how we just saw on the USDT, you know, where it looked like it was going to break out and then failed. I don't know. To me, just playing these so much, I've been suckered in so many times trying to play a breakout, you know, that looks like this for this move, and got stuck on this, and then it comes and breaks out later, you know. And it's not that big of a deal, right? I mean, it's not. I don't think it's going to make new lows, right? I don't think it's going to make new lows, but you know, we could see, you know, a rejection here, but you also could pop here, right? You also could pop. So I do really like the level, right? You got confluent resistance, falling trend line, horizontal, big horizontal level, and it's coming. It's pushing into this level, right? So probably the one time I'm looking to be patient and looking for this will happen, right? And that's just trading, right? But yeah, I don't know, the way it's kind of drifting into this. I don't know. I kind of feel like something like this.
I do think it needs to move soon, right?
Yeah,
or I will probably get kind of more in the camp that you could go back and sweep that low, kind of similar to something like what Sui did. I think it was last year before it actually gave the real move higher. I think I almost feel like the CoinEx chart that you've got for Sonic, like if you're just looking at Sonic from like, I think it's just like the Binance chart. It looks I think it paints a different picture than CoinEx. So it's kind of like an interesting perspective to see.
Yeah. Now, I have a feeling that Tommy will get frustrated with Sonic. It will drop lower. He will be out, and then it pumps.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this is like a pretty different chart.
It's not very nice. I'm long from like 50 cents, so it'd take a little bit to shake me out.
Yeah, but if it comes back to 55, which still would be, you know, pretty fine, you will be like, I do not know. This looks like it didn't move to the upside as I expected.
Ooh, I hate
gets out, and then whoop.
I hate that you're right.
Yeah, this looks way different. Just
yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I guess that gives you a different perspective. For sure.
Well, you can always go to FTM USD chart, right?
Yeah, that's true.
to get
you
the
can
full.
Still buy FTM on ETH, by the way. The liquidity's not that great, but
can you?
Yeah. So I mean, it's still the same chart.
Oh yeah, it seems like. Well, that's good to know.
Wow, a lot of the charts are gone, huh? Yeah.
The FTM
give you not the full price history.
Yeah, it's not.
you need to go. No. It will let you. You just need to go FTM USD and go for the index or crypto chart.
There it is. This is one of the most schizophrenic charts in crypto, historically speaking.
Yeah, but when it runs, it runs. When it runs, it runs. That's a fact.
I've always kind of noticed, even since like 2021, whoever is market making FTM they're usually ahead of like every single trend.
Yeah. No, usually when you see FTM pumping, usually that's a good sign.
I guess it makes sense because at least on the downside, it's going to be one of the first things that gets sold off. It's very high risk. Maybe the same thing applies for the beginning of an uptrend. I happen to like just kind of the way it aligns, though, with my bias on Bitcoin and ETH, kind of expecting another leg up. And also, Sonic's got some catalysts for the chain right now. They're trying to encourage people to use it. I'm pretty sure there's an airdrop in June. I imagine that it'll top well before that, but in the meantime, you want to incentivize people to come use your chain. I'm sure there's some pretty good yield opportunities there as well. Not that I am a yield farmer, but I actually like using the upgraded chain. It's very fast.
Do you think we've seen all-time highs on FTM?
Not quite. I'm looking for like $1.80, $2, at least here over the next few weeks. I think that's something that can be attained.
Are we going to do this harmonic forever?
Maybe.
Up and down, up and down, up and down.
This is like accumulation. Could be.
Schizophrenic accumulation, but
schizophrenic. Yeah, even on this chart, like this, you can tell that this 60 cents level is a big level. You're above 60 cents, you're bullish, right? Above 60 cents, you're bullish, right? Below, bearish, right? Below, bearish. So it's at that point, like, different chart, but like different level, different trend line, but both charts tell the same story at a pretty much at a really big level. So if it pops, it's probably going to pop hard. If it doesn't, maybe you get rejected one more time and then go for it. So, two different charts, but both kind of telling the same story.
I generally think that if Sonic or FTM makes it above $1, it should be reaching up to like 1.7.
Yeah. I agree. I'm going to keep comparing, like, if you just kind of look at the new Sonic chart, since basically I benchmark it from the Binance chart, but I feel like if I'm looking at like the weekly on it or like the 3-day, it just reminds me so much structurally of like that Sui half pipe. I'm going to keep beating that horse to death. Sui is going to trade probably much worse than Sonic, though. Whoever the Sui market maker is, like, he is Bob Ross level painter.
I'm not sure I'm bullish on Sui just yet.
I'm not either. I'm definitely not bullish on Sui, but
which part? This one?
Yeah. Can you go to the Binance Sonic chart? Put it on like the 3-day, and then puts Sui on like the monthly. I just feel like they're pretty similar looking. Obviously, lower time frame PA will have a lot of variance, but I'm reminded of this.
It's pretty crazy.
Very nice.
Honestly, Sui's monthly. It's a nice monthly candle there. Right. But yeah, I see the similarities for sure. Yeah, this is a decent monthly candle for Sui. Right, similar to what we got here at the top. Down, put another one the opposite way. Never know. Never know. But I think there's better risk reward stuff out there than Sui.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But it's something you probably could size into,
What is the market cap of Sui right now? The FDV is still 27 million. Holy shit. or billion, that is.
Jeez.
That's nuts. Considering I have met probably like 3 people who have ever used the chain, and I was one of them.
Tommy, Tommy, do you know how is it exactly with the FTM token on ETH? Is it just is it like, because I suppose it's not the new Sonic, right? It's the old version.
It's the same, but the liquidity is just a little bit, or it's a lot worse. So you can't like supersize into it unless you're clipping in. But yeah, I mean, they kind of migrated that on-chain liquidity over to Sonic. So you just kind of have to be a little bit more conservative in your sizing.
Gotcha. But it should trade 1-to-1, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Chainlink.
Sonic. You gotta love the name Sonic, though.
Oh, I know.
Like, that sounds Bible, like, oh, I bought Sonic. Sonic.
The ticker is sus, though.
I have a friend who was telling me that Sonic has like good astrology this year. I'm trying to remember like why he was saying that, but he's like maybe my most schizophrenic friend, so I tend to believe him.
Why would it be, or like, how do you make astrology for a single coin?
Well, XRP, for example, has typically its best appreciation when Venus is Venus is transiting Aries.
No, but how do you make it for a single coin? Like, how do you base it on that?
I wish I could understand that a bit more, but that is unfortunately not something that I have really dove into myself.
Like, is it based on the launch of the token, or is it based on the letters, or like, you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like, if you have for example, you have a moving average, right? And it's the average combine of closing price of the last, period that you type in. So like 20 EMA or 20 SMA is just 20-day, if you are using daily, the average of the past 20 closing days, and then you get a line. I'm trying to understand how is like astrology being made for a single coin, right? Like I can understand it for like everything based on the planet and so forth, but how is it like for a single coin? That's
You'd have to ask somebody who's a little bit deeper into it than me. I try to keep my stuff pretty broad, but I mean, I'm sure there's like some super secret alpha that gets passed down through a small number of people that works out really well for those people. But I feel like it's kind of a big information asymmetry for a reason. You're not going to give that away super easily.
I think it's more focused on the launch date.
Yeah, I do think this has a lot to do with it as well.
That would make the most sense to me. That said, how do you define the launch date, right? Because like it gets listed on a different exchange as well, so you just use the one, like the official one from the team.
I think these are questions that Big Planet doesn't want you to ask, Jackus.
Big Planet. Big Planet's on to us.
I think Link above like 20 could be bullish. Actually, it could put like, can you put Link next to Sonic? Could be interesting.
Next to or
beneath it. Beneath it.
Sus.
Yeah, same. Totally same.
I'll use this chart. I feel like that'd be better, and then I'll do like the do like the 6 hour. What are you seeing here?
Well, nothing, because it's not the same time frame.
What do you want? Tell me what you want.
Well, I wanted you to put it like under the chart, under the chart of Link, but on the same time frame. So just use the
Gotcha.
function.
Gotcha. Sorry.
I do not think the Earth is flat, for the record. Although there are some BB members that do think the Earth is flat. I will make their case for them.
Maybe use the FTM chart then, because Sonic doesn't have much price history.
Crypto. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
similar.
I think if all of these coins start to rotating to the upside, we might have a run here.
Yeah. A lot of them are like at these big, rising levels. A lot of like the older altcoins look like this, very similar, where like they had a little run, end of 2023, sold off, had another run, middle of 2020, towards the end of 2024, sold off. But they're all like slowly, a lot of them, the good ones, are slowly just grinding higher, right? So like, is this just like massive accumulation, right? Like accumulation here, boom, okay, manipulation, accumulation again, boom, manipulation, and then third time it's like, okay, here comes the real move, right? Like that's kind of what I'm seeing on a lot of altcoins. But to expect a big move out of like, two big runs and sell-offs like this is not like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like it really doesn't. I have to be honest, but the optimist in me tells me that it's possible, and tells me that, this is just kind of the schizophrenia before the, the real move, right? Like we did see something similar, right, on Link last. Let me get rid of this. Last cycle, right? We're not as prominent, but you had a run, sell off, you had a run, sell off. And on this sell off, probably a lot of people were like not hopeful for Link, right? Pretty much gave back this whole move, started climbing, boom, big sell off again, right? And then you had your 500-600% run, right? So we could be at a spot where we're either here, this was COVID, I think. So you could probably just erase this, but we could be like here and just slowly going to be grinding up until, these things start picking up again. So it's definitely a possibility. It's definitely not, not something too crazy, but it just doesn't feel like it, right? It doesn't, the logical mind would not comprehend, But if markets were logical, everyone would be rich, right? So,
well, I think if you think about it, Link hasn't made new lows below August 5th, while ETH has. So in a way, Link is staying pretty strong. And if ETH is at some point breaking 4K, well, in that case, I would assume Link is at new all-time highs, probably.
okay, let's put it on the weekly here.
Sergey's going to have to stop dumping for that to happen.
Yeah, but again, well, Vitalik have to stop dumping.
Yeah.
So I again, Link is above August 5th low, while ETH is below it. So in that sense, Link is way stronger than ETH.
Yeah.
And if ETH is coming back to 4K, then likely Link will be way higher than that.
Well, Link ETH kind of tends to lead a lot of moves in the market.
Go on Link ETH, and it's probably tradable.
Okay.
On Binance. No, just Link ETH.
I used to have a drawing before TradingView deleted everything out of my object tree that was very actionable for Link.
Just type Link ETH without the USDT. No, just without, just Link ETH. Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, that's
I know,
going to explode.
It looks really good.
Yeah. Yeah, like Oh my god, we all.
I recommended Link in our team meeting, but I mean, yeah, this looks ready to rip.
It does. It's one
Poor
of the.
ETH, man. Poor ETH.
That's a really good looking chart.
Yeah, this is nice. This is nice.
So the eternal question: who is going to buy the ETH Alpha coin?
Yeah.
Well, this is the first. If Link is initiating a new bull cycle, it's going to be the first DeFi coin to do it. It's going to be Link or Aave, because historically speaking, it's kind of always been the case. At least, the sample size is like 2, but
That's all you can work with.
yeah.
No, that's really good looking chart. I'm going to lie.
I'll tell you what, man. I feel like there's not a day that goes by that I don't see Link like posting new partnerships and news. Whether they're legitimate or not, I don't know. But
well, oracles just make lots of fundamental sense in the future of crypto.
Yeah.
Like you will need that, absolutely. You need to connect the real world to the internet. So it does make so much sense. The only question is it going to be Link leading, or is it going to be something else?
Yeah.
But I think generally it's going to happen. There's been big discussion whether that's possible or not, but I think in time we will just simply implement, it will sort of be like fiat, right? Like fiat, we all know it has no value and it's a scam, but at the same time everyone is using it because everyone's using it. And so I think this is kind of going to be the stuff with oracles, where lots of, for example, Bitcoin Maxi says that it's like so hard to technically do the oracles onto the blockchain, and it can be skewed. But I think when it gets big enough, and maybe in time it will get like some government support or something, then the oracles will be simply people will trust it because it will be just too big and might have that government support or whatever. So yeah, I think that's something to stick around. I'm just not sure if Link is going to have this big of a run again. Maybe it'd be interesting.
Well, I think it's definitely an ETF candidate for sure.
Do you guys
Yeah,
think we just get a bunch
this
of
one would
alts?
make sense.
Do you guys think we get a bunch of alts getting ETF approvals over the next few months?
I just don't find it. Like, why would you need an ETF for every single coin? I feel like it makes sense for Bitcoin, ETH, maybe a few others. Maybe Link would make sense because it's, an oracle again. But at the end of the day, I think you are likely going to see a top 10 ETF, top 50 ETF, AI ETF, like a AI crypto ETF, of course, and so forth, rather than a single coin.
I agree on principle. I just don't know if that's how it's going to play out.
No, it's not. What they're going to do is they're going to start listing these things one by one.
Then they're listing.
People are going to get burned on it because they're just so volatile when you just have one specific token. And then they're just going to start basketing them, like Jack has just said.
It's probably going to be like Coinbase listings now, where things just pump they pump on the announcement and then they sell off immediately after the listing and then go down only for a long time.
Yeah.
Depending
on like, I mean, if ETH and altcoins and Bitcoin, like Bitcoin goes on another leg, and ETH and alt start to rally off the lows and they start listing them, maybe not. Maybe that could be adding more fuel to the fire, right? It really kind of depends on where they get launched, in my opinion. Like if we're ripping and having a nice couple months worth of rally, and then they just start dropping the ETFs, yeah, I'm if my ticker is getting an ETF dropped after a big run, yeah, I'm selling that.
I think they should list my bags.
Yeah.
Guys, that Link ETH chart has me so bulled up.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Now just really lower time frame, like clearly this is just like drifting, right? So is this just going to go bang, right? Or is it going to act kind of like this, like made a low, drift, seems as if it's going to go, and then boom, pops to the upside, right? So does it give you this pullback to get your bids filled, or does it just go, nope, see you later, right? That's the question. But I mean, realistically, what is this, like a 15% swing? Yeah. So you're probably better off if you want to get exposure, getting some now where we're at, and then if you drop lower on something like this, yeah, you add. Or if you take off, maybe you just have to chase a little more. But you're probably better off getting a little exposure here. I might do it myself, honestly.
I'm just gonna ape on this shit. wait, I gotta find the meme.
I might even just carry Link ETH as a pair.
Let's fucking bet on this. Let's bet on this shit.
Jackers, can't you trade that pair?
Link ETH?
Yeah.
Of course, it's a tradable pair on Binance.
So how does that work? So like, let's say you buy the Link ETH pair and it starts ripping. It's just like buying like another ticker. Like,
well, you just, if you have a Link, you can sell it into ETH or vice versa, and then you just hold the other. And then obviously it depends what you want to value your portfolio in. Some people value their portfolio in dollars. Some people do it in Bitcoin. Some people can do it in ETH, right? So that's why you have lots of these tradable ETH pairs too, because some people value their portfolio in ETH, and then they are trying to outperform ETH, basically. That's why you have all of the Bitcoin charts too. And I honestly like that era way more when we had a alt BTC pairs. Now their liquidity, I feel like they don't really even have a liquidity anymore.
yeah.
Well, I feel like you can kind of correlate the death of alt, or rather Bitcoin pairs and ETH pairs, to like the death and volatility throughout crypto, mainly on Bitcoin and ETH, right? Because if you can swap into stables, just kind of like that natural convexity that's built into place on things like Bitcoin and ETH, right? Like imagine your only safe haven is buying Bitcoin or ETH out of alts, right? You can't just go into something that you have a high degree of certainty is just going to be pegged to the same value.
Yeah, I feel the end of alt BTC pairs came when perpetuals were introduced. Well, and USD pairs in general too, right? But I would say perpetuals, because you wanted to before people were mainly trading on spot and they were not interested in any other product, but now you can just 50x your altcoin. So you lots of people are not even looking at big spot moves. They are just like, yeah, it can do 10%, but if I do it on 50x leverage, then that's it.
I actually hope that we do away with like the 50 and 100x leverage. People don't need to be touching that.
That was never supposed to be introduced, or not that quickly.
So much wasted capital that could have been invested in spot crypto.
They think it's capital intensive.
Those fees were too juicy for the exchanges.
Yeah. Bucket shops are going to get banned, man. High degree of certainty. The age of, or the great era of bucket shop exchanges, if it's not already over, it's going to come to a completion in the next few years. I do agree with this take, though. I think this is a good. I agree completely, but I will also say like 50 to 100x doesn't really fall within those. Within that kind of like that criteria for me, just because in crypto, the odds that you're going to get a 1 or 2% move on any given day on any asset are basically like 100%.
Not to mention that lots of the times the liquidation system is kind of broken, and you can get liquidated way before your liquidation gets hit.
Yes. We're talking
So you
about
need to be-
unregulated casinos, after all.
Literally. So yeah, you need to be careful with that. Very careful.
What do you guys think about GME adopting MicroStrategy's strategy? Or should I just say adopt strategy?
Well, they bought like 1 Bitcoin, right?
Is that it?
I think so, no?
Oh my God, just one singular Bitcoin.
I'm not sure, man. I'm just someone in the chat potentially knows how much they bought, but I think it wasn't much.
Yeah, I think the more companies we get who are going to do the MicroStrategy strategy, I mean, assuming that those flows come in the interim or like the near term, that would obviously be bullish. I don't know how long it'll take for them to actually implement it, but it is more buy pressure eventually coming down the pipe.
I think Sailor was saying it took him like 6 months, starting with like, internal meetings and then discussing it to the stockholders and stuff like that before they introduced that strategy.
Do you think we see more and more companies adopt the same strategy in time?
Yes.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, at the end of the day, everyone will face the debasement of their currency issue, and then it will be like, what do we do, right, with that, with our holdings? So I'm not sure that they'll be buying stocks of other companies, because you would be you would be favoring, you would be helping your competitors. So that doesn't make that much sense. I do not know, like, and then the question is like, what do we buy, right? Maybe, but again, if you were to buy something with your holdings, then BTC is really like one of the best stuff to buy, because it's just neutral against everyone in the world. Like, nobody can manipulate it, and it's very liquid. So if a company has a side capital and it was going to buy real estate, that's nice, but what if you need that cash, right? And so forth. Well, it's so easy to sell Bitcoin.
Well, I do kind of think we're already like, we've probably already seen to a large degree what Sailor is doing kind of privately. Like, I have a thesis that our next bubble is definitely going to be popping because of private equity valuations that have functioned in the same way that MicroStrategy is currently operating, right? Like, you consistently add a bunch of these assets that you can mark up that aren't really very liquid, and you can just kind of continue to borrow against an AUM that can increasingly increases. And eventually it's going to like all come crashing down. But I mean, MicroStrategy is basically doing what those private equity firms are doing. It's just kind of out in the open. I think that's what really bothers people, is that they're just kind of, I think people just would like to be unaware of how of how markets actually seem to pump. But that's just my tinfoil hat. And also, that's the power of leverage.
The power of leverage. I love that quote. I love that meme. Yesterday I liquidated myself. That's the power of leverage.
What is that one quote where he's like, I can't even remember. If I misquote it, it's not going to be quite as funny, but he's just like talking about how he was on 5x leverage and made 5 times the profit. Like, that's the power of leverage. Hold on, let me find it.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't miss leverage at all, man. Like, I I've been barely leverage trading for like the last year and a half. Like here and there, I'll take a punt. If we're at a good level, and I've done okay. But I remember there was a point, man, in the bear market where I like looking back, I was in a leverage trade almost every day, and just the stress, man, like just the stress and anxiety and the mood swings. It was crazy, and like I didn't realize until like it took a long time. It took a long time for me to realize that like it's not worth it. And like I did take an ETH long recently, leverage long for like the first time in a while, and it's like literally probably represents maybe 1% to 2% of my entire portfolio. And for whatever reason, man, like when leverage is involved, like the stress like multiplies. Like it's almost like the leveraged slider, but like just lever the stress. Like it's crazy. Like I've been feeling it the last couple of days, and like this is a trade where I've been in profit the whole time. Like I took a ETH leverage long here, and it's been literally up only, right? I haven't even experienced drawdown on this trade, but just the stress that leverage adds to like it's insane. And I was like feeling it the last couple of days. Like, damn, I was like, I can't believe I did this, but way on a higher scale for like months on end. Like it's just
Louis
crazy.
was like, I took a leverage trade just so that I can still try if I feel something.
Yeah, I still feel it. Feel it.
You really learn what being a market slave is when you're in a levered position every single day. That's absolutely a reality. If you haven't traded leverage like every day or almost every day for like a calendar year, I don't think you really understand the mental toll that it will. It's like when somebody is a president for 4 years and they get out looking substantially older. In the same way, it will literally age you years. I love derivatives personally. I am finding my happy place though, kind of just trading altcoins on leverage and sticking with options for like Bitcoin, ETH, and equities. That's very much my happy place. Options are just it's so easy to manage risk and play for like high upside setups. I don't know. I just much prefer them to futures. And I also don't have to worry about liquidation risk, which is like half the stressor on trading, like just kind of perps.
I feel like I think Louis described it real well. Is because even if you make the right leverage trade, if you take that 2x on BTC or ETH even at the right time, it's just so hard to manage it, because if you are right and it goes up, you are suddenly making like twice as much money, and you can get very greedy, and then at the top you won't be selling it. And it's counterintuitive because you are like, I'm up twice as I would normally be, so it should be easy to take profit. But in reality, you're like, oh my god, I'm making now this much money and I have this great entry and I need to make the most of it, and then you don't sell, and very often you can round trip it. And obviously you are this amount of money up, but then it pulls back like 30%. And you are down twice as much, right, as you would be otherwise. Or it goes down, or it just waffles around your entry. And because of that psychological involvement, you would you will make the wrong mistakes, the wrong choices, simply because of that.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Drawdown is a very psychological game. Like this comment, for example, P&L and drawdown is entirely psychological, right? As you kind of move around your break-even price, it doesn't really matter if you're trading any sum that's like, I would even say sums that are like, as long as they're not like completely insignificant, you're going to have some level of stress just kind of seeing the visual of your P&L. Especially as it kind of waffles around your break-even price, and that stress is only going to increase as you're trading more and more of your capital I mean, unfortunately, most people are going to be trading a majority of their net worth on leverage, given that this is crypto. That is not a good idea. I would never advocate for that. Maybe my past self would, but my past self also had pretty terrible risk management at times. So,
yeah, like spot, like I feel nothing. Like I could go through severe drawdown in a spot position and just be totally fine. I think it's just that risk of getting liquidated, or that risk of just losing your money. Like obviously if you buy something and it goes down, you're technically losing money, but not until you sell, right? So but the exchange really can just take that money from you. And especially in a market that there's no regulations on this stuff yet. These guys can do whatever they want. They could hunt you. They could hunt your stops. They have the power to do this stuff, right? And I'm not claiming market manipulation, but it's the wild, wild west, And I've traded enough altcoins on leverage to know that that they don't like to play fair, right? It's very hard to consistently hit winners. And I've gone on streaks where I've 20x'd trading accounts, right? It's very powerful, right? When you trade leverage and you get on a nice hot streak, it is a very powerful tool, but just as fast as you could make it, you could lose it. I've done it 3 or 4 times where I 20x ran up leverage accounts and pretty much got back to zero, or back to where I started. So it just is what it is. My sweet spot, like Tommy was saying, I've actually been really liking building larger positions just on extremely low leverage, like a 2x or a 3x leverage. I've been doing that a lot over the last month or two, and I'm finding that I'm able to manage it well. And it's working for me. So you're using that leverage, but it's not like a 10 to 20x multiplier. It's only a 2x or 3x levered position. So it's manageable. Your liquidation isn't 2 or 3% off your entry price. You have a lot of wiggle room, especially when you're trying to DCA into something. I've been learning that I have been liking that. It's been going well for me over the last couple months. So
I would say, just really quickly, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but at least 80%. Probably higher, though, to be honest, of any mistakes that I've made trading have probably come as a result of a sizing issue. That is, I think, the single most important factor to be successful trading is sizing.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't size big enough when you had conviction. Maybe you sized too much when you didn't have any, or you martingaled a bad entry. It's probably going to fall generally within those confines. You probably made a mistake sizing.
Yep. It's very true. It's very true. It's like the old saying. It's like if you feel overstressed or whatever, in a position when a position's going against you, that means you weren't sized correctly, right? So if you took that trade, it's a risk reward bet, realistically, right? You're placing that trade knowing that there's a risk that you do lose that money. So if you do place the trade and the trade starts going against you start getting really stressed, anxious, and you start doing silly stuff, that your sizing was too much, right? You risked more than you were actually willing to lose. That's really what it comes down to, But yeah.
And what typically happens if you've kind of had a series of losses that were driven by oversizing bad trades is you'll have a good one and you won't have the balls to size it.
Yep.
Because you lost so many times in a row. It's just this perpetual game against yourself. Trading is entirely mental and sizing. I think if you could focus on one thing trading and nothing else, sizing is the single most important thing. But
imagine trying to catch a long down here on the low time frames. This is what I used to do. I used to be okay, big move down. I'm trying to catch the swing long back to the upside on 25x leverage. And then I would just get this, for 10 days. and then it finally starts to move, and I'm either out of money or like I'm just, screw this, it's going lower or whatever, or I take the trade again, but it's way less size than when I started down here. And it's like, yeah, just crazy stuff, man. But I feel like it's something that you kind of have to learn yourself, like we could say this all we want and I'll go, yeah, whatever. I'm different, I'll be fine.
It's like touching the stove or the hot stove, except you have to do it enough times to callus your hands. You don't learn after the first time. Oh, I did find that copy pasta though, guys. I use 6x leverage when I trade. Why? Because it increases my profits by 500%. Example: if you buy one Bitcoin for 10K and sell it at 50K, you made a profit of 40K. However, if you use 6x leverage, your profit increases to 240K. That's the power of leverage.
Wow. So profound.
That was a legendary copy pasta from 2021.
Indeed.
Yeah. And like that's like the initial thought process when you get introduced to leverage. It's like, oh my God, I could multiply my size by 10 times. Like I'm gonna be rich.
I remember when I was first learning about how to trade leverage, like literally a total noob, loaded up some, I think like $1,000 in the KuCoin perps trenches, and I was trading Tron right after like Kaleo had just tweeted about it. So obviously it was like sending, and there was just so much realized volatility on a lower time frame. I hit market buy, I think it was on 20x leverage, and the second I hit market buy, I got liquidated. I'm not even kidding. Like I hit market, and immediately got liquidated because again, there was just so much volatility on the chart that it moved 5% within like 1 second of me opening the trade. And there probably wasn't very good liquidity either. I'm sure that played a role.
Good old days.
For real. God. And I was just like, where'd my money go?
So am I long or what?
Do I need to click this again?
Classic.
So good.
So how is our little investor doing? Oh, never mind. I lost it all before I even began.
And then I found shit coins.
Yeah, it's like, especially like on-chain stuff, like you don't need leverage, man. Like you could use $1,000 and do stuff on chain and make multiples. Like it's like you don't really need leverage anymore. I mean, as long as on-chain stuff remains the way it is. I don't think it will forever. Right, the same way I don't think leverage trading is going to remain the same forever. But like, if you really have the need to like maximize your returns with small amounts of money, like risking smaller amounts of money, just go on chain, man. There's stuff that 10x's to 20x's, 50x's all the time. But yeah, it's funny, man. It's like we're giving some back from this morning. Yeah, relatively flat.
If only you knew.
Higher prices here over the next week. I'm not terribly concerned about it.
I mean, we're grinding along this trend line, man. So it's either something's got to give soon for Bitcoin. It's either going to be this or it's going to be this, and then like maybe something like this. Hopefully. But I feel like something's got to give here soon. So hopefully higher. That's what I'm betting on. That's what I'm betting on. But I think that's a good time to wrap it up if Tommy's ready to go.
Yes. Can you pull up the terminal for me, Louis?
Yeah, you want the pricing or just the terminal,
Terminal,
website?
brother. The terminal. God, I love reminiscing on leverage trading failures. I think if you can't laugh at your losses in trading more than I think maybe it's a psychotic trait of mine, but I almost like laugh and remember my big losses more fondly than my wins. Rather than like I celebrate my wins at times, because it's just kind of like a reminder of I don't know, of like how far you've come in a way.
Wait, why am I locked out of here? Did I?
Oh, log out and log back in. We just did an update.
Oh.
You're on the screen though. Hold up. Let me remove so they don't see your password.
Wouldn't that be good?
You're gonna get hacked, Louis.
Yeah.
Sorry. Accidentally leaked your social security number, credit card history, and your address. No, you don't actually need those to use the terminal. I'm just joking.
Yeah, what the hell? It's not letting me. I might have to talk to Ed.
Well, we are running the update, so
Yeah, maybe that's why. So I'll just pull up the Because Bitcoin website. It's not letting me get on right now, probably because of the update.
The devs are doing something, guys. We are building out more and more functionality for BB Terminal. So,
all right, you can pull me up.
All right. That concludes today's show. We hope that you all enjoyed the commentary that we provided, the charts that we shared. If you are looking for more alpha from the team, we do have a few ways that you could potentially do so, right, guys? Starting with our premium Discord, come join the BB family. We get 4 to 5 hours of calls every single day where we talk about the market, our intimate thoughts in real time, and at times even our positioning. So come check it out. We've also got a killer community in there. They've been giving out amazing plays in the trenches. So, it's not just the analysts that are like working hard to conquer these markets. We foster a true brain trust within that Discord. So check it out, guys. We were nice enough to discount the Discord if you buy it with the BB terminal, which, as you can see, we are running an update on right at the moment. So devs are doing something. We are building more and more functionality out every single day. So whether or not you are an active trader trading lower time frames, a long-term investor looking to make educated, data-driven decisions for the long term, and soon, whether or not you are an on-chain degen, we have the product for you, or the go-to tool to conquer this cycle. So check that out, guys. Next, maybe you're looking to hone your educational base or even reach trading level mastery. We've got the BB Academy that you can come check out and learn from the team. We give lots and lots of material on how we trade, how we approach the markets, and how we analyze things. I mean, there's really pretty much everything in the BB Academy. So come check it out as well. And then last but certainly not least, maybe the volatility has been too much for you to stomach. Maybe picking winners has proven to be difficult during these trying times in crypto. Well, we've got the ability for the team to manage capital for you, and that is the BB Wealth Management arm of the business. So if anything that I just said over the last 90 seconds resonated with you, come check it out in the description below. And a reminder for BB Wealth Management, guys, we trade digital assets in a way that looks to capture their asymmetric history for upside returns while also balancing the downside risk posed in any financial market. But that is it for the show today. We hope that you all enjoyed it. We will be back for another episode tomorrow to officially wrap up the week. We typically go live around 11 to 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, whenever the New York Stock Exchange is open. Wabi's show will not be live today, Market Talk, as it is Thursday. And on Thursdays, we give our subscribers an extended afternoon call. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, make sure to check out Market Talk with Wabi over on X, Because Bitcoin account, as well as King Wabi's personal account. So make sure to stay following and subscribe to both of those accounts so you can be notified, not just when we schedule those spaces, but of course, also when we go live. Thanks again, though, guys. We appreciate you, as always, for being here. Like I said, we will officially wrap up the week tomorrow. But until then, as always, thanks again and stay safe.